Hey, welcome back to Rust Belt Rebuilds. In this episode, we're going to take this bad boy apart. The engine that came out of our 1983 Pontiac Firebird. And we're going to determine which direction we go with getting the motor back in it. So I just so happen to have a 400 laying around. There's some other stuff that I've got laying around as well. But I'm real curious as to what happened with this, because it's, how do you have 60 pounds of oil pressure and then all of a sudden there's none? And I say all of a sudden, I shouldn't say that. What I should say is that as it warms up, it decreases all the way down. And the lowest I saw it was like 18 or 19 pounds. But like when this happened, it was right at zero. So I want to blow this intake off, check that out, just because I suspect maybe there's a rag or something underneath it that's preventing the oil from getting down to the bottom. I don't know, but we're going to do that, blow these accessories off, get that intake off, and then we'll flip it over and see what the damage to the bottom end is actually like. So another day, and this is what we found. I'll bring you in. You can see it. I've got some plans. We're going to try to get this thing back together as quick as possible. But there is some damage. I was looking through this. I've noticed it just seems like these rod bearings are moving too much. These have been apart here. However, these didn't move. So I took it apart, and we've obviously got a spun bearing there. Now, why did that spin? I don't know. But we're going to have to get the rest of these out, get the heads off of it. I do have a different crankshaft that's good. It's just a factory crank. And we'll have to find the numbers on this crank to see if it's actually a 350 crank or if it's a 400 crank, or what it could be. Many different things, I guess. But we'll flip this over, get the heads off of it, and then we'll start popping these pistons out. We're going to try to save all of this stuff. We're going to have to measure on this one to see if it is even savable or if it's bent. I took this one off too. This one did not spin, but the bearing is angry. So that's what our goal is for tonight, is to get this thing completely broke down and maybe start getting it cleaned up. There's quite a bit of metal in it, so it's definitely going to take some cleaning. We're going to grab an impact and just start zipping this thing apart and be done with it. So what have we found out from our teardown? Well, we found out the crank is completely trashed. There's metal all over. But all in all, the block is good. We found out that someone actually took some pretty serious time. I think they've used some pretty good parts to put this thing together. So what are we going to do? We're going to bring it to the machine shop and have them clean it. We're just, doing some prep. if you believe that, I've got other stories I'll tell you too. What we're really going to do is clean this up the best that we can. Put the cheapest oil filter that O'Reilly's has on it. And hope for the best. So, we've got a $5 filter. We'll start this thing, run it for a little bit, and then we'll just shut it down. And the reason we're going to do that is if there is any metal caught up in here that we can't get out, hopefully it gets washed right into that filter and taken out. If not, it'll just take out our bottom end again, and then we can just do this all over again. But it's fun, right? It's fun, yanking motors out. Went to the chiropractor today because my back has just been giving me fits. And that kind sir said you should probably take it easy for a couple days. So that's what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to take it easy. I'm going to lift down a couple of heavy engine parts and start reassembling this. After a whole bunch of failures, we finally ordered the right cam bearings. Definitely took some time. It's getting harder and harder to buy those for some reason. I don't know why. In hindsight, I should have ordered them directly from Jigs or Summit. Probably would have got the right parts. Getting them off of the Amazon, that was a problem. It's hard to do. However, I've got a lot of LS cam bearings now, so can't just type in small block anymore. But anyways, I'm gonna get these cam bearings in there the way that I do it. You ask, 14 people, what's the right way to put cam bearings in? You're gonna get 14 different answers. So I'm gonna put them in the way that I've done it. It's worked in the past. And then we'll get to setting this crank and make sure that our tolerances are good. We'll just stab them in there. So all of these bearings have their own position. We're going to start in the back. This one says, I don't know if you can pick it up, but it says position 2 and 5 right here. They're different sizes. There's 3 different sizes here. 2 and 5 can interchange, 3 and 4 can interchange, and 1 is by itself. 1's easy to distinguish. It's got 2 holes in it. That's the hardest part of this, right? So what I'll do is I'll make a mark so I can, once you get this on the tool, you can't see where the hole is, right? So I'll make a mark where I want dead north to be, or straight up, and then we'll drive it in. There's a channel in there. You want to make sure that you're lining this hole up with that channel so your cam gets oil, right? So you just want to take this easy. Little movements at a time. Check it. I've got a little Allen wrench where we'll check to make sure our hole is lined up with our groove, because you can't really see it, right? But I'll just take and just tap it in. Now I've got it close. It probably has to go a little bit more. And when I say a little bit more, I can clearly see that it's got to go a lot bit more yet. So we'll put her back in there, run her home. Just a tickle more, not much. Oh, we should check that. That's looking pretty good. That's money right there. So now if you look on the inside of your box, when you get your bearings, it'll tell you the position of these, right? So 5 was all the way up here. But if you look at this, this will say position 3 and 4. We've got our right bearing. They make it pretty hard to mess it up. You can still mess it up though. I can do about anything, especially when it comes to destroying it. So the rear one, I put in right at the 12 o'clock position. Is it right? Is it wrong? I don't know. The rest of them go in at a 2 o'clock position when the engine is sitting the right way. So the way that it's sitting right now, it's 8 o'clock from the front of the engine. Yeah, right there. And that's it. It's legitimately that simple. It took us, what, 5 minutes? Is that about it? So I did something that really even surprises myself. Bought me a cam handle. So after we get our bearings in, we're going to want to make sure our cam fits. We didn't get any distortion of our bearings. We don't have any rough spots. I'm just going to take some super rust penetrant, body shop safe. I don't even know where I got this. It's cleaned out my storage unit. I ended up finding this in one of the totes, and I was like, holy crap, it still works. So we've got it. Is it good at penetrating rust? Probably not. But we'll just slide our cam in there and make sure that spins and it can get in there. Cam's in there. She spins good. My hands are all slippery. But she spins good. Floats well. Looks like our bearing install went well. Then we need to blow our back out and try to get this off of here so we can put the freeze plug in the back. Maybe we should do that before we clean it up. How heavy is it? Probably pretty heavy. I don't really want to. Got to though. Well, we got a frost plug in there. We got a cherry picker right there, but I just picked it up because I'm lazy. It's too much stuff to move to get the cherry picker out. So, let's find what I did with these bearings and try to set this crank out of a different engine. So even getting crank bearings was tough. Like I said, should have ordered from Jegs or Summit. I didn't. The cam bearings actually did come from Jegs. They're Jegs brand, I think. Still ordered them through Amazon. Using ACL bearings. Never used them before. I have no idea if they're any good. So the whole goal, right, was to rebuild this motor, get it back in there to do burnouts. We're still going to do that. When I tried to put the plastic gauge in there and check our tolerances, right, they've got all of these little numbers here. You know, 1, 15, 2, 3 thousandths, right? So you want it to be between 2 and 3 thousandths clearance. Really like it to be 2. General rule of thumb is 1,000th per inch of shaft. That goes for these metallic bearings that you have running on your crankshaft. Really any kind of bearing, that's a good rule of thumb. It's 1,000th per inch of shaft. Well, I put this in there and I torqued it down to 70 foot-pounds, and somewhere between 4 and 5, so she's loose. So I said no. It's a 2-bolt block anyways. We don't really care about it, right? Well, at least I don't. If it blows up and spreads parts, so be it. We'll get a different one, build to put in there. Just getting her painted up, throwing the headers on it. But I've got some lifters that are collapsed, and I think that's probably some of the issue that we were having right when we were getting this running with that tick, and I had to adjust it. I think they're just giving up the ghost, right? But got a new set of lifters that's supposed to be coming in today. It's Sunday. When those lifters come in, we'll get them soaking and then get them put in there, get our basic valve setup done. I've also got valve covers coming because, well, even if we blow it up, we can reuse those on something else. I tried to clean the intake. It said nah, so I painted it silver. That is what it is too. Right now I'm just doing what I can. I'm cleaning up the accessories, trying to find my bolts that I threw around like a wild man. It's a random header bolt. Oh, that's another thing. I should show you this. So we've got these headers. They're supposed to be for this car. This side is great. Looks good. I mean, I'm sure that paint is gonna vacate real quick, but this side, it's not really tight, but I can't get a wrench in there. So I found one random header bolt that I had laying around because I couldn't even get really nothing close there. I was hoping I could sneak it in here, but I can't. So I'll be running to town, try to get a cap screw or something to replace that one with. But I mean, for some cheap headers, I think I paid like 120 bucks for them. They look pretty good. I just certainly hope they fit. I did also get a dipstick assembly coming, so we'll be able to check how much oil is in here. I said the heck with it. I completely painted the sensors because they were there. We're in pretty good shape. Hopefully these lifters will come in. We can get this top end buttoned up. Then it's just set it back in there. I had some significant trouble with the timing gear because, well, it was the one that was on it, and I didn't look at it. But, well, I didn't look at it when I took it apart. So I spent probably an hour putting it on and taking the gear off because there's 3 different points for the keyway. I didn't know what they were using as a mark. So I was going to put the cam in, got that lined up, and I looked at hole 1 and I was like, well, that certainly isn't right, because it's that far down the hole. So that's really what screamed, we've got a problem. So I took it all apart, found an old crank gear somewhere. I don't even know where I put it because it's destroyed. But I kind of lined those up and I figured it out. So we're good to go there now. But really, that's about it. There's really no change. I did order a big cam. We're not going to put it in because it's going to blow up. So we'll destroy the cam that's in it. Just going to continue what I'm doing, and if the lifters come in, I'll get back with you. We'll get them tossed in there. So since we're about as far as we can go with the engine stuff, we're at the point of dumping her back in. So might as well take a couple minutes here and clean out this engine bay, because it's pretty dirty. We've got a nice clean motor that we're going to put in there. We might as well take and make this look better. We're going to have to do work in here. Might have a little bit of line lock that we're going to put in. The reason we're going to do that is it's a manual, right? This burnout, they chain up your rear end, you pull up and get the tension out of the chain. I don't want to be shifting and just jamming all the mounting points of the rear end. So we'll pull up, we'll get tension on it, hit the brakes, line lock it so it can't roll back and forth, and proceed to beat the tar out of it. So I guess I'm gonna have to dig the power washer out, and then we'll take and get this cleaned up. Might hit the driveway a little. Got a little oil. But I found this in my cabinet. I don't know how it's gonna work, but it's multi-surface, low odor, biodegradable, so you can eat it. Although I don't recommend it. It doesn't say that you can eat it. Don't take that out of context. But we're just gonna hose it down, run, grab the power washer, get it hooked up. Probably have to rebuild the carburetor on that because it hasn't run for 3 years. And then hose this down and get some of this dirt, grime, and filth off of it. There's the hood bolts. I should move those before I blow them into the next county. Spray this down, give it a little time to start working. And then it's going to take a little bit to get the power washer up here. Like I said, I don't even know if it's going to start, so this might be all for nothing. Just a waste of time. I honestly can't believe that thing's running. There you have it. The best part of all of that was now I created a new project with power washing the driveway. I've got time for that. There's some good rainbows coming off of it, but don't worry. It's just going to turn that into blacktop. We're going to have the best blacktop in front of anybody's house on this road. So, our next step, dumping the motor back into that. We basically got it all assembled. Now that it's clean, we won't get dirty. And try to stab that back in there. It's supposed to rain tomorrow night, so I don't know if we'll get to work on it or not. Maybe we will. Maybe we'll work on it in the garage if it dries out. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. We'll see what tomorrow brings. Until then, just fade out or something. So here we are, next night. It's amazing, the temperature difference. Like, it's comfortable in pants. It's like 70, low 70s, I'd say. All the cows are out. What's going on? Anyways, I don't know if we're going to try to dump this in tonight. Like, it's drizzling. Stuff's falling. But I want to get this on the picker and at least get it staged. guess that's going to be it for tonight. We've got a long way to go, but it's a little small block Chevy. It came out in 2 hours, probably go back in about 4, right? We've got new exhaust that we need to put on, so that's going to take extra time, so it might even be 5 or 6 hours, right? We've got the equivalent of 3 weeks to get this project done and have it ready to go. However, this weekend, not going to be much working happening on this. You take out actual work days of, you know, putting in a good 12 hours on it, and it really cuts into your time. So I've got a couple hours after work for 3 weeks and 1 weekend to get this ready. No problem. No problem. I'm not even worried. Not even worried. Now that we've got our engine rebuilt and everything's clean under the hood, let's stuff that thing back in there. Now we have to remember to get that Z-bar hooked up in there into that ball socket on the driver's side of the block. I've never done this, at least that I can remember. So we're gonna try to just kind of slip it in there. I don't know how much shimmying and shaking we're gonna need to do, but we'll get her in. Now we'll grab our fancy wobble socket so we can get in there and around that starter. Ouch. Give that one a little zap. All right, well there you have it. Our motor is back in there. However, the time is still ticking down as to when we have to have this ready, and we've still got a lot of work to go. Just because the motor's sitting in there does not mean that we're ready. We've got to get this thing fully assembled, get the trans back up in there, drive line, full exhaust, get this thing broke in, get the interior cleaned out, and maybe even get some door handles in it so we don't have to pull on it like a puppet. All right? That's going to do it for this episode of Rust Belt Rebuilds. Thanks for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment down there if you'd like to see something else happen with this, or if you liked it, or if you didn't like it, or whatever. But thanks again for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.